Pozdrav svima, evo nas ponovo u našoj konferencijskoj sali Study Abroad Week Online Study Expo. Evo upravo sada u našoj agendi na redu je prvi univerzitet iz Holandije koji će nam se predstaviti. Hi, hello.
Hi, hello, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for being a participant of our online study expo. I made a short introduction and I'm very glad to host Tilburg University on our virtual event. Interesting thing is that Tilburg University is actually one of our first university to visit. So me and my colleague were visiting your campus with our students group like 4 years ago, and since then we are a partner of your university, and many students from our region discovered the Netherlands as a study destination, and since then we had many students applying and going to the Netherlands and to Tilburg. So whenever you are ready, you can start. You can share your screen and your presentation. I will let you know if everything is in order, and the floor is yours.
Thank you once again for having us. We're so happy to be partnering with you for a few years now. I will be joined by one of our current students, Ina, who will be helping me out with a few slides, as she is our current student and can share a little bit of a more student perspective. And we will try to answer in the last few minutes. We can take questions if possible. If not, we will be at our booth afterwards, where you guys can visit us and ask any questions you have. And now I would like to actually start the presentation. Let me know if anyone can't see anything or something's not going by my plan.
Now you're now in a full screen mode. I just want to greet Ina as well. Hi, Ina. I assume you're a student ambassador, so please do share your experience throughout the presentation, and I will just pop up if there are questions on our platform. So if you see my face, that means we have a new question. Okay.
Thank you very much. So welcome everyone to this presentation about studying in the Netherlands and specifically at Tilburg University. My name is Mia. I am currently working at Tilburg University, but I also am a former international student, and I am joined by a student ambassador called Ina, who will also be helping me out today. Today we will cover topics such as overall education in the Netherlands, so you guys can understand a little bit more about the system overall. Then we will move on to Tilburg University, and I will talk about our English taught bachelor programs, and we'll finish with talking about application admissions and costs of living here. And as again, I will try to make time for a Q&A at the end, but if not, we will be at the booth and we will be able to take your questions. So there are many reasons to study in the Netherlands, but some of the more prominent ones are listed here on this slide. For instance, the multitude of English taught programs, meaning that as an international, you do not need to learn Dutch in order to achieve a very high level of education. And high it truly is, because Tilburg, as well as the other Dutch research universities, are within the top 250 in the world. That means that they are within the top 2% of education worldwide. And of course, the universities themselves differ in rankings and in some specific fields. For instance, as you will see a little bit later on, we are leaders in specific fields, so keep that in mind. Additionally, for those of you who are also already thinking about living maybe in the Netherlands afterwards, or maybe you're just a little bit more entrepreneurial and already know you want to start your own business, Netherlands is one of the currently best EU countries for business, especially with Brexit going on. A lot of companies have actually moved their headquarters to the Netherlands, which also means that currently there are quite a few multinationals with a highly educated workforce and a very multilingual workforce, meaning that overall the populace knows not only Dutch, but also English very well. And in your everyday life, you will not be struggling with having to know Dutch in order to get around. Additionally, even if you do not have an EU nationality, the prices are very good, especially if you compare them to other countries that offer English taught education, such as the US, the UK, or Australia. There's quite a good value for money when you look at the tuition fees and also, of course, the quality of education. If any parents are watching, or just maybe some people who are a little bit more worried about moving to a different country, which is super understandable, the Netherlands is also one of the safest countries in the world. And even I, as a girl, I've never had any issues if I'm going home by bike alone at night. Now, I did say that I would quickly explain the difference between the two types of universities in the Netherlands. You have universities of applied science and research universities. Tilburg is a research university, meaning that all of our bachelor's programs last 3 years. We offer academic higher education, meaning that we offer you an academic approach, an academic look into life that prepares you for critical thinking skills and writing up academic reports, and overall preparing you to go on and to have a master's as well. Universities of applied sciences typically have a 4-year education duration and focus more on professional education, with the idea of immediately preparing people for the job market. Of course, some programs can be only learned at one type of university. For instance, liberal arts and sciences is only a research university concept, whereas if you would like to study nursing in the Netherlands, then a University of Applied Science is definitely the place for you. But in some cases, they offer the same programs, such as human resource studies can be found in both. So it may be important for you guys to know a little bit of what the difference is. Now, Tilburg University in specific. Tilburg University is located in the city of Tilburg. It is the 7th largest city, and it's also a student city because we have 3 universities here, and 1 of 7 people is actually a student. I see that we have a question.
I was just asked from one person from our audience. Can you just speak a bit slower so they can follow?
Sure. Yeah,
because they absolutely. Said sometimes the sound is, going a bit quiet and too quick. So just as a suggestion, please a bit more slower so they can follow the presentation correctly. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Sorry, guys, if I was speaking too quickly. I'll try to keep my pace a bit slower. So as I said, Tilburg is a student city, and 1 in 7 people in Tilburg is actually a student because there are 3 different universities in the city, or well, 2 universities and 1 music academy. Overall, Tilburg is located in the south part of the Netherlands, which means we get a little bit more sun than, for instance, Amsterdam, but we are about an hour and a half by train to Amsterdam and about half an hour to Eindhoven, which is important for international students because that's where the airports are. So it's good to know roughly how much time it would take you to travel to and from when you're going back home, for instance, for Christmas vacation. Otherwise, we are located in a pretty good place in terms of the plane routes and train routes as well. And our students, of course, when things are normal and safe, have been known to take day trips to other large European cities such as Brussels, London, Paris, anything like that. And once again, for those of you maybe more interested in business or IT, we are located in the Brainport region, which is also called the Silicon Valley of Europe. And that's the place where there are the most patents registered each year, which means that there's quite a few big companies such as Philips and ASML and Tesla as well, but also quite a few startups happening each year. With regards to COVID-19, because I do understand that that is a very important topic nowadays, the university, of course, follows all of the safety guidelines given to us by the Ministry of Health. We are trying to offer education in the safest, healthiest way possible currently. Due to the current situation in the Netherlands, which has been deemed safe by the ministry, most of our classes have been offered on campus so far. And actually, because as of today, all of the measures are dropped here in the country. As of next block, so starting October, everything will be on campus, even large-scale lectures, which are currently online. As a university, Tilburg was founded almost 100 years ago now in 1927, with the idea of being only a business school, but the founder thought that in order to actually be successful in business and in life, one must understand the environment and the people, and that's where our motto, Understanding Society, actually comes from. Currently, we have actually 6 different schools, all on one campus, and all of the photos you see here are from our campus, actually. So you can a little bit see how it looks. It is a medium-sized university with about 14 different English bachelor's programs that I'll present to you in a little bit. Now, in this slide, you can see what are the most commonly given answers of some of our students when we ask them why did they choose Tilburg University. But here I would actually like to take the time and ask my student assistant Ina to help me out and talk about why she chose university, because we will talk about rankings and how we're leaders in the fields of business. And I've already told you we have a campus, which means you don't have to run around the city. All of our buildings are a few steps away from each other, and we also have a very nice forest. But I feel like alongside things such as counseling and support by a psychologist and things like the Career Center, Language Center, and Sports Center, it might be more personal for you to hear another student talk about why they chose Tilburg University. So if Ina can unmute herself and briefly talk about it, that would be great.
Yeah, I just want to know, do you hear me? Is it
Yeah.
Is everything working? And also I can answer this question in Croatian as well if somebody doesn't understand. I will start with English, but if you prefer Croatian, I can also talk in Croatian as well, because in the beginning I've heard you talking, well, it's you will understand me if I speak in Croatian, but I will start with English. I chose Tilburg. Well, it was a sort of a gut choice. Something told me that I should go here. I didn't go to the campus like open days or something because it was Corona, so I couldn't really join anything, and anything on offline and in person was impossible. But I kept my faith, and I went to Tilburg on my gut instinct. And when I came here, I have to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised. Everything that I thought about it came true, and even more. And today, when I'm giving like campus tours to other students, they always tell me, "Oh, I didn't think it was this beautiful on the pictures. I didn't think it like this exceeded my expectations." And it's always like that. So I have to say that even though I will give my best to transfer you how I like it here, it's best if you see it on for yourself. I cannot transfer the feeling, but it is. I chose it because of the unique course that I wanted to go to, and it was the only one that I could find that included both a technical side and a social side. For reference, I study cognitive science and artificial intelligence here on Tilburg University, and I came from Croatia, from Zagreb. My friend was supposed to come with me. She actually introduced me to the Tilburg University, but in the end, her parents didn't let her go, so she didn't come. But I said, I don't care. I'm coming on my own, even if even if that's like the only way. But luck turned, and I brought my two other friends with me. So the three of us came, and we all are here on Tilburg, and we all love it. There's a lot of Croatian people actually here, and a lot of people from Bosnia and Herzegovina and from Serbia too. So even if even if I miss my home country, I can meet with students from Croatia, and I feel a bit more at home as well. I love Tilburg because, well, I think the Green Campus is the best selling point I can give you now, because the weather is now the most beautiful that it is in this part of the year. So it's really, how do you say that? You can really see the Green Campus really well. You can enjoy the outdoors studying that I always wanted to have, and that I didn't have in my high school experience. I also like that well, when I talk to people why they chose Tilburg University, they usually tell me all about their unique courses, because there is all sorts of courses that people say they feel like they were tailored to them. That's how I felt about this course, because it did include cognitive science and artificial intelligence. My friend that told me she didn't know what to study, she wanted to incorporate the English language and culture and everything she liked. She said she felt like online culture, a course, came sort of like a gift to her because it was tailored exactly for her. There's all kinds of courses where if you don't want only business administration, you can even study entrepreneurship and business innovation. They have we have a great range of courses with all kinds of things you can pick and choose from. It's sort of like making your own course, the one that's good for you. And
thank you so much, Ina,
sorry.
for no, just in terms of having enough time, but I think it's been wonderful for you to talk about it so much. And you've also mentioned some of the programs, and I will cover them in a bit because you saw them quite highly already. Okay. It has been very nice. And something that Ina actually already did say, there is a very international environment. Yes.
Sorry, of course. You have enough time until 5:40. So when you finish your presentation, maybe we can hear more from Ina's experience. So just to make sure that we do have enough time, so everything is in order for now.
Perfect. Thank you. I will give her time in the end, especially to speak in that case. So as she said, there is a quite international environment. Here you can already kind of see, based on last year's data, how many people from each country we have. Of course, this year it might be a little bit different, but suffice to say, you will not be the only person on campus who's international, nor in your own classes, because usually about at least 30% of the class is made up of international students. And also our lecturers come from abroad as well, because we do believe that when we are saying that we will teach you international business administration or global law, we want to bring that aspect of international not only through books, but through the experience of our lecturers and our students as well. In terms of partners, that might be interesting for those of you who already know you want to do an exchange maybe at some point. In your third academic year at Tilburg University, you have the so-called mobility window. And in that time frame, you will be allowed to either do a minor, go on exchange, do an internship. But if you decide to do an internship, here you can see some of our university partners. So these are places where you can go and spend a semester abroad. And some of our more prominent ones are Bocconi University. Also, we have the university in Hong Kong that we keep close ties with. So there's quite a bit of variation in where you can go and what you can do. In terms of ranking and accreditation, because I do know that that's quite important to a lot of students, and also, again, if parents are watching. As I already said, top 250 overall are all Dutch universities, but specifically Tilburg University is number 35 in business in economics, 28 in law, 58 in psychology. So that means it's very much a leader in those fields. When you are checking rankings and accreditations, please keep in mind that different rankings take into account different things. For instance, the QS World University ranking that you see over here actually also takes into account student satisfaction with courses. And you can see again that there's this variation in which positions we take. Additionally, all of our programs are accredited by the NVAO, which is a Europe-wide organization. And this means that our diplomas are recognized in Europe and also worldwide overall. Now, we'll talk about the programs, and there's quite a bit of them. So if you have any questions about those aspects, please let us know and we'll answer them, of course. I will talk about the bachelor's programs today, and then I will also a little bit mention that we do have master's programs in those fields as well. Overall, for our international bachelor's programs, they are mainly English taught, or well, all the ones that you will most likely be interested in are English taught. We do have Dutch programs as well, but usually international students go for the English taught ones. There are multicultural classrooms all around, and a big thing is the interactive teaching mix. Again, maybe that's something Ina can touch on a little bit later on at the end of the presentation, how she experienced it. But overall, you will have both lectures and tutorials, and while lectures are a bit more passive on your end, let's say, you'll sit there and your lecturer will talk for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe at most. In tutorials, the floor is given more to you. You are given case studies or assignments, or you have to do group presentations, group work, you have to do debates and discussions. So there's this real idea of, whereas lectures are maybe a little bit more you standing there and receiving information in a room full of students, Tutorials we keep quite small, so 20, 25 people max, in order to make sure that everyone has time for individual attention given to them. That's what also we mean by small class sizes, because not all of our programs are that small. For instance, our psychology program usually takes in about 300 people per year, so that's quite big. As I said, there will be group assignments, individual assignments, but also skill development. We do want to believe that in order to make you successful and send you to the job market or to other higher education, such as master's or PhD programs, you need to also have personal development skills in terms of developing your talents and your ability to maybe present in front of an audience, something like that. So we try to keep that in mind as well in our educational programs. Now, an important thing in the Netherlands overall is something that is called the binding study advice. That's something that is part of each Dutch university. And that is essentially the fact that you have to obtain a certain amount of credits, or more easily said, you have to pass a certain amount of courses in your first year. I do not want to scare you with it. I just want you to know that it's something quite serious, because if you do not manage to obtain all of the credits, if you don't manage to pass enough courses, you are not able to continue on to your second year of education, nor are you able to follow the program in the country anywhere in the Netherlands for the next 3 years. Of course, I don't want this to scare you, because our international students have been doing quite well. Even when I was a student in a bachelor program, managed to pass it, no issues. So it's just something to keep in mind, that it might be a little bit different from the system of the country you are used to, be that Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, anything like that. Now, here is a list of all of our bachelor's programs. And once again, we do have master's programs, again, in the fields of economics, social sciences, computer sciences, and law. But yeah, the bachelors are more manageable to go through, because in terms of masters, we have about 40 different master programs. So if anyone has specific questions, I'll take them later. Now, to get back to the bachelor's programs, our bachelor's programs last 3 years once again. And in terms of our more popular programs is what I'll cover now. We have International Business Administration, which covers the 4 main areas of business, which are accounting, finance, marketing, and management, with the idea of it being quite broad and giving students a taste of all aspects of business, so that in the end, when they have to choose a master's later on, they have had a try with everything and know what they actually like. Economics is quite straightforward. It's just a study of economics, micro and macro. And one of our newest programs is actually Entrepreneurship and Business Innovation, which is for those of you who want to study business insofar that you are interested in starting your own, or if you are interested in changing a company that already exists. That's where Entrepreneurship and Business Innovation definitely comes into play. Ina already mentioned that she studies cognitive science and artificial intelligence, and that includes both machine programming and neuroscience, because we believe that in order to actually be successful in achieving artificial intelligence, we have to first understand how human thought processes work before we map them onto any IT, any AI. Our bachelor's in data science is actually a joint program between us and the Technological University of Eindhoven. So you will have kind of a dual degree once you graduate, and you will have classes on both campuses. Econometrics and operations research focuses on using mathematical models in order to improve business processes. So that's a program I would recommend to any of you who are particularly good at math. Global law is our only bachelor's level law program. It focuses on explaining to students how in conflicts where there are multiple legal systems involved, how they should proceed. For instance, take into account a data leakage of German profiles that happens in the Netherlands. You have the German legal systems because that's the nationality of the people whose data was leaked. You have the Dutch law system because that's the country where the data was leaked. But you also have the American law system because Facebook is a company that has headquarters in America. So which legal system do you turn to, especially because they actually have, the American and the 2 European systems have quite different understandings of privacy laws and things like that. So that's something that our global law students are taught to do. Our online culture, art, media, and society course are for those of you a little bit more interested in things like journalism, for instance, but do keep in mind that it focuses mainly on the digital world of media, including having topics covering things like memes. Yeah.
We have a question. Can you describe the cognitive science and artificial intelligence in more detail?
Actually, I think I can leave Ina to do that in maybe 2 minutes or so because she has been taking the program.
Okay, great.
So Ina, if you can tell us what you have been studying.
Yeah, okay. So I've been studying cognitive science and artificial intelligence. It's a program that actually combines the things I wanted to learn the most, and that is a bit of psychology and the cognitive science behind our thought processes, and also the programming aspect of the artificial intelligence. So we go through courses such as logic, introduction to AI, introduction to cognitive science, programming. So we try to figure out how logical processes are going on in our heads and in our minds, and then we're trying to replicate that onto our programming abilities. In the future, we will have courses in machine learning and such as that. I think what gave me an accurate representation of what the course will be was when I was looking at the Tilburg University website, and I saw the program, like what kind of courses you will have in the first year, and everything what I presume those courses will be and what's said on the website that they will be about is pretty much what came true. They all sort of intertwined to combine a like a unique learning experience where you can actually apply things you learned in one course to another course, and I believe that it's the best one I've encountered so far. For example, there is another course in another university, forgot the name, that was just artificial intelligence, but I wanted to focus on the cognitive science part as well because I also like psychology and math. So I think that would be an accurate representation of my course.
And another question is it math based? So is there a lot of math subjects?
Okay, I was actually looking forward to a lot of math because I'm very good at math, but it's not a lot of math. It's more about programming, and you do get calculus in the later years. But what I think is great about it is that I didn't know any programming before I came to Tilburg, and I mean nothing, absolutely nothing. And they taught me everything from the beginning, from how to download the program to now I can program some serious things already. I think the only thing you need to come with, it's not math based, it's effort based. If you put in the effort, you can learn anything here, and they give you all the in my college they give you all the resources. You just need to put a little bit effort in, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. And we have a question regarding the data science. Can anyone of you?
I can do that.
Okay. Yes.
What's the question about?
So more details about the program on data science.
Of course. So data science as a program focuses on the use of big data. Currently, as you probably know, we generate huge amounts of data every day, and that data can be used in businesses, in organizations to make things more effective, to predict consumers' behavior better. So what happens is this collaboration between Tilburg and Eindhoven combines both the technical aspect of data science, which is coding, machine learning, unstructured and unstructured data, and also the business aspect, how we can use this data in actual business. And that's mainly what this program will entail. It does have some business aspects to it and quite a bit of actually in coding. Okay. I hope that clarifies a bit.
Thank you.
And so let's carry on with our social sciences program. For instance, our one in psychology is actually quite unique because it gives you the chance in the second year onward to specialize in 9 different majors, and some of them like clinical, forensic, and medical psychology are very unique to Tilburg. Then global management of social issues deals with things that are called wicked problems, which are issues that no one really knows how they came about, and also they don't really have a clear-cut solution. Things like poverty or global warming that involve multiple people, multiple countries, multiple governments, and are quite difficult to just solve with one simple solution. International sociology just focuses on sociological issues such as the multicultural society, globalization, and such other topics. Human resource studies, people management, the bachelor is kind of a combination, I would say, between a business program and a psychology program, because it includes aspects from both. You do have some psychology courses, including organizational psychology, but you also take some economics and some other business courses in accounting, financing, and things like that, with the idea of understanding why we need happy and healthy employees and how they can contribute to firm performance. For those of you who may not yet quite know exactly what you want to study, maybe our liberal arts and sciences program is for you, because that is very close to the American model. In the first year, you take different courses from different fields, such as neurobiology, law, social sciences, humanities, and business. And from the second year onward, you actually choose one of 5 specializations, which are in the fields that I just mentioned. So that gives you about a year to experience different fields before you decide exactly what you want to do. Okay, just a second. Okay, yes, after you graduate, and that is maybe more relevant for those of you who are non-EU students, you will receive a search year visa, which is valid for 1 year and allows you to stay in the country and look for work. But of course, I do mention that, knowing that most of our students actually first do a master's program, so it might not be directly relevant to you. But another good statistics to know is that most of our graduates tend to find a job within 3 months after graduation on average. And here you see some of the companies we work with and some of the places where our alumni have ended up. Now, admissions and applications, and we receive quite a bit of questions usually during that one. And before I talk about it, I'll receive some more questions.
Yes, another one. I'm a citizen of an EU country, but I will have my high school diploma from a non-EU country. Does this make any complications?
No, not really. You should just apply with whatever ID you have that is from an EU country. So all EU conditions apply to you. In terms of diplomas are for eligibility and don't really affect anything else.
Okay, thank you.
So you do not need to worry. Now, I have here a little bit of our admissions requirements, but do keep in mind that we have a more complete list on our website that includes almost all countries. For Serbia, I have included the one here because I absolutely cannot pronounce it, but we accept that diploma. Also, if you come from an international school that has maybe an IB diploma or an American curriculum or the English A levels, we also accept that with the conditions given here. But we also do accept the Croatian diploma as well. It's just listed on our website, so you can always check it, or while I'm here, I can also check it. I just cannot pronounce them very well when I try not to. But yes, overall, we accept most EU diplomas and most of the neighboring countries as well. Additionally, you will have to provide an English language proficiency certificate. That is one of the 3 given here. So we accept the academic, IELTS, TOEFL, Cambridge, C1 and C2 with these scores, but you keep in mind that global law and data science have slightly higher English scores, especially for the IELTS. They have a minimum of 6.0 on all parts as well. And a good thing to also know is that the English language certificate you provide us with has to be no older than 2 years at the time of your application. Additionally, in terms of math requirements, some of our programs include a bit more math than others. And so that may make a difference in what level of math you have to prove during your application. If you're interested in our social sciences program, you just have to have had math up to and including your final year of high school and have passed it. It's very straightforward. And then we have programs with high math requirements, such as econometrics and data science, and programs with a medium math requirements, such as cognitive science and artificial intelligence, which is why Ina did not get as much math as she wanted to have. But also business, economics, they are also medium math requirement. And what that means is that we usually ask for a final exam in maths, be that a state matura or something else. That usually depends on the specific system, education system that you are in. In case some of the people currently watching do not have one of the diplomas we accept, or are missing something else, usually a good solution is to have a foundation year. There are 3 options and they are all listed here on the slide. So one option is to complete a year of academic education in your home country or in the Dutch University of Applied Science, and then you reapply. For the math-based programs, you just need to do an additional maths test, but that pretty much makes you eligible. And for the last time in 2022, you also have the option of the Holland International Study Center Foundation year, but that is only available for the programs you see here on the screen. I'll let you see them for just a moment, and then I'll move on with the presentation. In terms of how to apply, the first step is always to register on the national platform called studielink.nl. That is a step you have to take, no matter if you're choosing Tilburg, Eindhoven, any Dutch university, you have to go there first. Then once you indicate, hopefully, that you like a Tilburg University program, you will receive within 48 hours email with a login and passwords for Osiris, which is our platform where you actually have to upload your documents. A good thing to take note is to always check our website before starting to submit your documents, because on the website, each program has its own webpage where it's listed exactly what documents you need, including when we ask you also for a CV and motivation letter. So that's a good way to know. In terms of bachelor's application deadlines, it's May 1st and April 1st for EU and non-EU applicants respectively. For psychology students, it's the same for both type of nationality, January 15th, just because it's a numerus fixus program, meaning that we only have a fixed number of places available within it. So it has a little bit more of an extensive process. In terms of master application deadlines, if any master students are watching, I know I had some meetings with master students earlier today. Some of our programs have 2 intakes. Again, that will be listed on the program webpage. And for the February intake, the deadlines are December 1st and October 1st, depending on nationality. And for the September 1st, they are June 1st and April 1st, depending again on nationality. What question do we have?
One question is regarding the tuition fees for non-EU students. I think you will cover that anyhow. Yeah. And the other one was, does A or AS level English count the Cambridge program? So instead of, I guess, TOEFL
Cambridge
or IELTS.
C1. If it's Cambridge, if it's C1 proficiency or C2 advanced, it counts. Otherwise, no, it doesn't hold as equivalent.
I think it's the Cambridge program, like high school program. They have like
high school. Yes. Okay. So there you would definitely need to look at the website, because sometimes if students have done all their previous education in English, we do make an exception. I do know for sure that we make an exception for IB students and AS level students. And I'm pretty sure we also do the Cambridge one. But for Cambridge, sometimes we have one additional requirement that I would need to just check on really quickly before I can say for sure.
Okay, thank you.
And then in terms of the cost, that's the next slide. So if you have an EU nationality, you see here the cost, 2,200 per year. Then in terms of non-EU, then it varies per program. Most of our bachelor programs are around the 9,000 euro mark, but in the master programs, you see a lot of variation, which is why you see this wide range here on the screen. But each program really has its own price point, but you find the list of those on the website as well. In terms of estimated cost of living, and keep in mind that this is an average that we more or less have, so it can vary per student. I know my one is a little bit lower than that. So estimated cost of living is usually around 800 euros, with the highest expense always being accommodation. And it can vary from 700 euros if you live on your own in the studio to 350 if you are sharing with roommates. Food, drinks, and transportation, again, very variation are prone, because if you're cooking a lot versus if you're eating out a lot, that makes a huge difference. And then books and readers and insurance are also costs to take into account. If you need a visa, that's only a one-time fee, the 192 euros, and then our university helps you throughout the whole process. It sends you a reminder, tells you which documents you need. So those are pretty much we handle them for you. And then the second-hand bicycle is pretty much a must in the Netherlands. We bike almost everywhere. So second-hand bicycle starts at around 70 euros. Now for housing, I will very quickly go through that because it is an important one, but I also see that we don't have much time left. Tilburg University does not guarantee housing, which is why we advise students to please start looking on time, because while we do not own housing, we do have partnerships with buildings around the city where we have the so-called reserved accommodation, and that is reserved only for students. So it's not private market. You're not competing with everyone trying to live in the city. But the registration for those opens around April, May, and it's always on the first come, first serve basis. So I highly implore you to apply and to well in advance, so you know in April, May already if you are accepted. And keep in mind, it takes 4 to 6 weeks for our admissions office to process your application. If you decide to go for the private market, that's perfectly fine. And we have a housing office that can look over your contract and make sure that there is no scams involved. So you can always turn to them as well. We will have upcoming events, for instance, the Bachelor's Open Day in November, but we are also housing in-depth webinars on topics such as the Numerus Fixus Psychology program and application and selection on the respective days, October 12th and November 30th. So you can always join us at those as well, or reach out to us via Via Academica or via any of the contact forms on the website. Now, thank you so much for your attention so far. I think we just made time. If we have 1 or 2 minutes left, if we indicate, maybe Ina can talk about being a student, but I think we have quite reached our limits.
Well, we had just one more question about the diplomas from Montenegro. I guess the same rule as for Serbian diplomas and Bosnian diplomas apply to those from Montenegro. So as long as like we are the region from the region, it means that your diploma will be, you know, of course, taken into consideration, the national diploma, as well as like IB program or A levels, as Mia explained previously.
And even if you don't see your diploma on our website, that doesn't mean that you individually cannot be eligible. So I always advise people to apply. Application is fully free. There are no fees. So there's no harm in checking.
Okay, so no more questions. I think students were asking questions throughout the presentation. Thank you, Mia, so much. It was really, you know, you covered all of the aspects that we usually receive questions for. And thank you, Ina, for explaining a bit more your student experience and your study program as well. I invite all the students to visit your virtual booth to download your brochure, and then if there are free slots, they can schedule a meeting with you or start a chat while the platform is still active. Thank you once again, and hope you will enjoy your Saturday evening after the event.
You as well. Thank you very much for hosting us.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye. Ciao.